Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Leighton. For those of you that are new here, my channel is designed around my early retirement to be a stay-at-home father, and I'll kind of touch on all things in the personal finance world as I find them interesting. Today I got a newsletter from Wealthsimple that had in it 3 bad takes from TikTok, and I kind of wanted to dive into them because I found them to be sort of interesting. So the first one was to skip school and start a business. And while this sounds like the rosy thing, everyone has a dreamy picture of their future as a business owner where they don't have to go to work and they're making tons of money and they can be an influencer or whatever they want to be. It's not realistic for everybody to follow this path. And even if even if starting a business were a good idea for most people, there's still more to it than that. In a lot of ways, not skipping school, in fact, like going to school and starting a business go hand in hand, because oftentimes you need some expertise in what it is that you're doing. If you think about most businesses, you wouldn't want somebody completely new to an industry doing said leading of the business. Like, you can start your own electrician's company or plumbing or anything like that, but you still need to go to school and you still need to get some work experience first before you can learn the reins well enough to do your own thing. So it's not terrible advice to start a business, but I think that just blatantly stating you should skip school and pursue business is a terrible idea for the vast majority of people for the reasons that I've mentioned there. So yeah, like, I also don't encourage school for everyone. I wouldn't just go and get a degree because that's what people do. I think that people need to think a little bit more clearly about where they envision themselves and also be self-aware enough to know what your actual strengths are and whether or not you'll be good at something. Because it's not so much, well, this career is successful and this one isn't. It's more people who are good at certain things move up the food chain and they become high paid and well compensated in their field of choice because they're good at what they're doing. So if you're somebody with no mechanical aptitude, going in to be a mechanic would be a terrible idea. If you're somebody who's just bad with numbers and can't figure out how to work a spreadsheet and things like that, being like an accountant or something like that is a terrible mismatch of your skills and abilities. So I think we need to be more aware of what our personal skills are, how to best apply them, and where the market dictates we can go and make money with those skills. So that's my thought on the skip school and start a business one. Number 2 was pulling a HELOC to invest. For those of you that don't know, a HELOC is really just taking out more debt using the equity that you've paid off in your home. So basically you're paying off debt, borrowing the money again, and then reallocating it into stocks. When the market is ripping, that may seem like a good idea, but you need to remind yourself that you are in fact taking on debt and you can be margin called in these situations, or you can be in a situation where your portfolio is no longer performing and you're stuck paying interest on a loan while also carrying a depreciating asset. It's a very risky proposition. I definitely wouldn't be chasing, the next big, like say the pot stock craze. I would not be borrowing a HELOC to try and chase that sort of thing, even semiconductors for that matter. I know that most of those stocks are doing fantastic and I do own some, but trying to go after anything like that on debt is just super, super risky. One thing I will highlight with the HELOC to invest though is, I won't call it a smart way, but potentially a smarter way, is if you've talked it over with an accountant and something like the Smith maneuver works in your situation. And again, I need to specify that this is not advice. This is just if it works in some people's situations, with the help of a professional accountant who can really walk you through and understand and manage everything for you. The Smith maneuver, in short, is paying off your house as quickly as possible, because in Canada, we can't write off the mortgage interest. But if you were to borrow the money and invest it into income producing assets, like say dividend stocks or anything like that, you could then write off the interest on that debt, on the actual investments debt. So if something like that works for you and an accountant says it's a good idea and you're comfortable with the risks that you're taking, potentially that is the only way I see taking out a HELOC to invest. A very a very specific example. But again, I'm not recommending you do that. Please speak to a professional, finance advisor or accountant before you even dream of doing anything like that. Number 3, buy hot stocks in light of news. So the old saying that I've heard is you buy the rumor and sell the news. So this kind of goes in the face of that. Normally, if something sounds too good to be true or too obvious, it is, and the smart money already knows about it and have already bid up the price on said asset. Like, very rarely do you hear a big announcement of, oh, Lockheed Martin, has secured this contract or whatever. And then you can still go on and get into it in time, because normally by the time something like that is announced, people behind the scenes are already well aware of it. And even though it's potentially insider trading and things like that, they've already taken advantage of the news, and you'll see that the price has already run up, or in pre-market trading has already run up, things like that. Like, it's very difficult to get a news release that you're somehow reading before people with a lot more money were able to bid up the stock. So you're much better off in general not chasing a single stock, definitely off of a news release, because as no-brainer as it sounds, or it may sound, just odds are you're not getting that information first, and you're not beating the market makers in buying those shares. So that's really all I've got today. So again, we went over the skip school to start a business, pulling a HELOC to invest, and buying hot stocks in light of news. So let me know below if you have any bad or good, instances of doing any of these. Have you ever bought a hot stock that continued to roar for you? Have you ever borrowed money to invest? How did that go for you? I'm curious to hear. And also, did you skip school and start a business? If you like the content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and please feel free to leave comments on these subjects, because I'd be really interested to hear from you guys. So anyways, have a good one. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.